Okay, this is looking very good. Thank you, everyone, for your cooperation. There's a table at the back that should have a couple more people. I can join that table because I will be participating in this activity as well. And Matthew can also find a table, and then and Susan will likewise find a table. So I think we're good. Let me just we're going to begin with a hope and a prayer. We always are living in hope, and I'm going to just offer a short prayer, and then I will introduce our opening activity. So let's pray. God, you have given us a wonderful story to live into and to tell. And so as we gather as a congregation to discuss business, that's part of our story, but our story goes beyond the business that we do, it goes to the lives we live, goes to the creation that we are part of, goes to the worship that we offer, all of those things. And so as we think about telling our story on this 50th year of being a congregation, we invite your presence. We ask for your spirit to enliven us with creativity and fun and all of the goodness that you have for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, so at your table, you have some little booklets. So each one of you take one of those now. They are sort of Easter colors because we're Easter people and we're in the Easter season. And together we are going to create a story of our congregation. So how many of you have played the game Telestrations? Put your hand up really high if you've played Telestrations. So this is kind of an adaptation of Telestrations. What do you need? Oh, some more? Yep. So I'm going to can I use the pulpit mic? Because I need both hands to talk and hold this up. So on the front, you put your name. So where it says name, that's you. Oh, and you know what I forgot? We all need pens or pencils. Who needs a pen or pencil? Thank you, JD and ushers, for helping us out with that. That was a small functional oversight on my part. We also have crayons. They will work too. Okay, so it appears that everyone now has multiple options of writing instruments. So your name on the front, that's first step. Second step will be to open it up, and on the inside cover, it says, once upon a time there was a church in Wellesley that, and you are to complete the sentence. So you will complete the sentence, and then you will pass your booklet to the person to your right. And they will draw a picture of the sentence you've created. So they will draw a picture of the church at Wellesley that, whatever you've written in there. And then when you've drawn the picture, you will fold this part back and you will pass it on to the person on your right, and they will look at this picture, and they will, on the next page, put a description of the picture you've drawn without looking at the first page, yes. And then you will pass this on to the person on your right, and they will draw a picture of what you've described up here. Then you will fold this page back and pass it on, and the next person to your right will describe what you've drawn here. Okay, do you get the idea? It's a pretty simple pattern once you get into it. And you will pass it around the table, and I would like to complete this in 15 minutes if we can, so that you need to think and draw fairly quickly, and it's supposed to be fun, and it illustrates for us how each of us have our own perspective, but together we will put a big story together. And then after our more formal business part of the meeting, Matthew will guide us through sharing our stories. And I'm not quite sure how we'll do that at our tables or all together, but you know, we are talking about doing a book for our 50th anniversary. So I'm not saying, but maybe we'll get some ideas from this. I don't know. So we will keep these at the back, and we can look at them in the next number of Sundays, and we'll see a brief illustrated story of Wellesley Mennonite Church when we're all done. Okay, so have at it. Keep passing your paper around. Don't delay too long at each step. Any questions? Okay, go. So some of the tables have gotten the booklet around one round. Let's do like one more, pass it one more time, and then we'll call it for now. And then we will proceed with some other agenda, and then at the end, Matthew will come back and help us share what kind of story we've told. So thank you everyone for participating in that storytelling exercise. We are in the process of gathering some people together to work on probably will be a little bit larger project of telling our church story and some church history. And we're not quite sure how that's going to turn out, but again, maybe today was a good beginning for us. We'll see. So I'm going to, Susan has joined me, and I want to invite you to turn to our agenda for the meeting. We've had a welcome and an opening activity. So we are moving on to reviewing and accepting the minutes from our annual budget meeting, which was January 26th. And again, if you need to finish drawing or writing, that's fine. You can practice multitasking and pay attention to our meeting as well as your storytelling. And again, when we're finished our more formal agenda, Matthew will sort of take over, and I've left it up to him to figure out how to share these stories among us today, and we'll go from there. So, review and acceptance of the budget meeting minutes from January 26th. And they were printed and presented with this report. So does anyone have any comments on those minutes or any observations on those minutes? We will be hearing a little later a bit of a budget update and auditor's report from Mark, and so we'll get some more information on that shortly. I did note in the minutes that our budget was about a 5% increase from 2024, and we noted that it will probably be a bit of a challenge, but we think it's very doable. So those were the comments that I picked out of our minutes from last time. Any comments or questions about the minutes from our meeting on January 26th? If not, could someone make a motion to accept those minutes? I have a motion from Dave Lichty, thank you. And how about a seconder? Brad Maven. Okay, last chance for any comments before we vote to accept these minutes. All right, let's vote to accept these minutes. Please show by raising your hand. Thank you, and anyone opposed? Luke, did you want to speak? No. Okay. Okay, that's thank you, that's accepted. Stewardship and Finance Committee, so presentation of our review engagement report statements, and then the auditor's report. Mark, where did you go? Oh. Do you want, do you need a music stand or something, or you can go up there too if you want.
All right, we'll take a look at page 14 and 15 in your package. Now, just a quick explanation on the change in the work that was done by the accountants. Last year we had an audit, and this year we've changed that a little bit. The Ontario Not-for-Profit Corporations Act says that any charitable organization, church, can change to a review engagement as opposed to an audit if we have less than $500,000 in annual revenues. So we fit that category. So we've done a review engagement this time as opposed to an audit. Now, just a quick explanation also, what a review engagement entails is basically less assurance and less work from the auditors. It's more up to management to provide the information to the accountants at this in this review engagement. It mentions in the practitioner's responsibilities, just a quick blurb on the second paragraph there. It's a limited assurance engagement, which the audit is sort of positive assurance, where financial statements, they tell us, are presented fairly according to generally accepted accounting procedures. In the review engagement, it's more of a sort of a negative assurance, if you will, and it's they state that really there's no reason to believe that we haven't moved away from generally accepted accounting procedures. That's basically the difference. And that allows them to do less work in the area of risk management, looking at future liabilities, and so on. So, all right. Going to the statement itself on page 15. We have, just as far as the description here on the page, we've got columns for a general. That's our operating dollars. Offerings come in for our operations, and then the expenses that relate to operations. The second column is departmental. Those are the different funds that we have, such as the Christmas Sharing Fund, the Bequest Fund, Benevolent Fund, and so on. And the food cupboard is in there also. The third column is just amortization or depreciation of the capital assets, the building and the lot that we have. So it's a non-cash item. That's why it's separated out of there totally. But the general column is probably the one that we're I shouldn't say more interested in, but going to concentrate on here anyway. We have, to the end of 2024, $206,389 in revenues. That's made up of offerings, rental income, and any miscellaneous monies that come in for any specific reason. And the expenses that go along with that, if you take a look through there, I won't highlight them all, but they total $169,207. The largest portion of that, $112,630, is wages and benefits, which is a standard situation in most charitable organizations such as this. That leads us to excess revenues over expenses of $37,182. So we're on the positive side of things. And then changes in financial or the fund balances, then we end up from 39,670 from the beginning of the year, excuse me, to a fund balance in the operations of 76,852. So we've bumped up our cash situation considerably because of our 2024 year, if you will. And that there's an extra 14 or 15,000 in there because of the wages and benefits column, the situation we had with interim pastors versus full-time and so on. And if you'll notice, just as a comparison, it's 112,630 this year. Last year, or in 2023 rather, it was 149, so 126. So there's that bit of a difference there. And then the other column is the funds. We haven't divided them out, but you've got cash flowing in of 78,561 into those funds, and the use of those funds, 88,432. So those fund balances have decreased a little, but those are just dependent on monies coming in for specific purposes, such as the Christmas sharing fund and so on. The food cupboard is the largest movement of cash coming in and going out. That's basically all I wanted to say on that. Is there any specific questions that you might have in mind? Okay, now just one mention, if you're looking for a more detailed package of these financial statements that the accountants have provided for us, they are available. Sue has in her office copies of the I keep saying auditor's report, but of the review engagement. Okay, any questions? All right, do we need a motion to?
The board has already.
So we don't need, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so the board has already accepted the statements, and they're presented here for your information. If you have any questions or concerns, for sure now is a good time to raise them.
It's a very specific question, but how much annually do we contribute as a congregation towards MCEC?
Because of our,
In the earlier meeting in the year, but I was just trying to recall that.
yeah, in the past, we had, the last couple of years, we had a situation where we were low on funds, so we reduced that. Sue, 6,000 was the amount that we're given to them. And it has been discussed in past meetings that maybe we should get back to providing a bit for MCEC. And that will be an ongoing discussion because perhaps we do have a little bit of extra here now.
Can I add a bit of color as to why I asked?
Sure.
Yesterday morning, I was on the MCEC annual meeting online from 10 to 11:30. I'm happy to talk about that a little bit at some point, but people have questions about that. But MCEC is in tight places financially, right? We've seen through the Connect emails that there's been a need to reduce staff. There's pulling from different things. So especially hearing you say that we have a surplus, that leans heavily on my mind that we were able to be resourced with connecting with Pastor Matthew through MCEC's ministry. There have been a lot of ways that the church is resourced through them. I feel really, really strongly about that. I think it's responsible to name it, especially given what I heard yesterday.
Thank you. It has been, as mentioned, a discussion throughout the different meetings, board meetings and such, and I'm sure there's going to be something coming out of that in the future. Okay. All right. The only other thing, well, actually, I got two things to go. We need an acceptance, a motion to accept the accountants to provide us with a review engagement for the year 2025.
All right, so, yeah, so, okay, thank you. Wayne Yancey makes a motion to accept, it's Mac and Company, I guess, to be our accountants, not auditors anymore, because we're getting a review engagement statement, not an audited statement, but to retain them again for next year. That's good. Okay, a seconder to that motion? Betty Ann Glauser, thank you. Any further questions on that conversation? It might be fair to say that, so moving from an audited statement to a review engagement statement, we have saved about $1,000, give or take. And so that it's been a bit of a budget savings for us this year.
Yep.
Okay. All in favor of that motion to accept MAC LLP for our auditors, our accounting firm? Stop using the word auditor, accounting firm. All in
Sorry,
favor?
waiver.
And any opposed? All right, that's accepted. Thank you.
Okay, I will say, just add one more bit of information here for you, not related to these statements, but our current situation. And I've got an analysis here for March, which is our first quarter. We've got total offerings of 44,000 in 2025, which is very consistent with last year. We're running very consistently month by month with what we did last year. We're about $500 over this year than last year. If you take a look at the net income, we're at the end of March, we're 25%, one quarter of the way through the year. We have a net income to budget comparison, 45,700 in net income. The budget is 212,530. That's 21.5% if you're looking at percentages of the budget. So we are, as far as revenues and expenses are concerned, in good shape compared to budget for the first quarter. Okay, and throughout there will be further updates on how we're doing, you know, in the next half and the third quarter and so on. Any quick questions on that? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark. And I think to Neve's point, we will continue to monitor how our progress is throughout the year. Yeah, and I think at this point we're almost on track probably. If you look at our budget of $212,000 and you divide that by 52 weeks, that means approximately $4,000 a week, right? And that will get us there. So you can sort of monitor that with the offerings that you see. But again, thank you to Mark and who else is on the stewardship committee here? Gerald and Neil McDougall and Susan, for your work on helping us remain solid financially. Okay, we will move along. Personnel Committee. Karen, are you going to make some announcements or update us? Yeah.
Okay, so if you look on page 16, I think 16 and 17 is the slate. And on behalf of the Personnel Committee of Bonnie Roth and Matthew and myself, we'd just like to thank all of you who have renewed or taken on new positions. And I'll just highlight a few things. In the report, I mentioned that some committees have sometimes ceased to exist for a time if no one was found to fill that position. And then sometimes we find somebody again. So just to note that Jamie Gerber will now be taking on the Christian Ed or Youth Adult Coordinator. We haven't had anyone in that position for a while. And I'm also pleased to let you know that Sandra Albrecht has accepted to be the elder for a term. So we're very glad. She couldn't be here this morning, but Sandra Albrecht has accepted to be an elder. And in light of that, she had previously just accepted to be on the seniors activities coordinator position. So we're taking her off of there. So if you could put her name in under elder and stroke it out under senior activities coordinator. And we are therefore looking for someone to replace her on that. So if there's anyone who would be interested in helping to plan the activities for the seniors, please talk to Bonnie or myself. We are also still looking for someone who would be on the worship committee to help plan services. So we have an opening there that we're still hoping to find someone to fill that position. And as over the past number of years, we're also looking for youth sponsors. So if anyone would be interested in that, we would appreciate if you would come and speak to us. So with those changes, adding Sandra as an elder, removing her from seniors, I would like to make a motion to accept the slate for 2025-2026.
All right, we have a motion to accept the slate as presented. Do we have a seconder for that motion? I think I saw Arnie Bender's hand first. Any further discussion on that? So thank you to the Personnel Committee for the work you've done, and to everyone who's stepped up and volunteered, and there's still a few opportunities. And I think I would just add, if you see something that you think should be done or could be done and it's not on the slate, then just talk to Matthew and go ahead and do it. Because we don't have to have everything on the slate that we do, and in fact we don't. Like, we do all kinds of things that aren't on the slate. So, I mean, let's not be restricted by a piece of paper with names on. Let's just do what needs to be done to be a church and to continue living out our story of God's good news among us. All right. Any other comments? Sorry, I went on a bit too long there. If not, let's vote to accept the slate as presented. All in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, that is accepted.
And then I also would like to make a motion to accept the board of directors as listed under church council. So the people's names who are listed under church council are our board of directors.
Yeah, so Luke Swartzentruber, congregational rep, myself, Connie Finn, Wayne Yancey, Gerald Yancey, Lisa Neeb, Eunice Gerber. So we have a motion. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Grace Neeb. Sorry, I saw Grace's hand first out of the corner of my eye. Any further discussion on the board of directors? So formally, the board of directors are elected each year, meaning they resign each year and then are re-elected, as in right now when we vote to accept them. So let's vote. All in favor of that board of directors? Anybody opposed to that? All right, that is accepted as well. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Karen. So we're on to the committee reports. How many of you have read all of the committee reports and come prepared with notes and questions for the committee people? How many of you have not read a single committee report? That's okay. You may stay even if you haven't read a report. Okay, so you've got the reports. There's some interesting things in there. I'm not going to highlight any of it. We get these reports sort of regularly at Church Council, and that's reported in the minutes, which you can follow up on each month. Any other comments? Was there something that for the people who did read those reports and make notes, was there something you wanted to note and highlight for us, Susan?
No.
Okay, it was all clear. Yes, that's the way it should be. All right, again, this is part of our story, right? We continue to tell a story of who we are, and these reports, this business that we do is part of our story, which is ongoing. So thank you for everyone who's contributed a report. Any questions about anything that has happened that you want to discuss that we haven't touched on at this point? All right, can I have a motion to accept the committee reports as presented? Neve, thank you. And a seconder, Dave Lichty, thank you. Any further discussion before we vote? All right, all in favor of accepting the reports, please raise your hands high. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Anybody offended by anything you read in the reports? Okay, those are accepted. Thank you very much. That brings us to any other business, and I didn't ask at the beginning if there's any other business, but I'll ask now. Any other business that we haven't touched on? And as always, please talk to a board member if things come up throughout the year that you would like us to look at. We are wanting to hear from you and hear how things are going and get your perspectives on a whole variety of things that happen in the congregation. I will just note that the elders are having ongoing conversation about membership, and we've had some conversation about board of directors makeup and the fact that you need to be a member. We're looking at that, and we may come up with some kind of an amendment or solution in the future. So I don't know how quickly that can happen. Probably not very quickly in a church, but that's just the way things go. So anyhow, I think that's all that I would have at this point. Did we miss anything, Susan? All right. I would like to invite Matthew to help us discover our storytelling and close the meeting in prayer.
Okay, so the papers that we were passing around, just a moment or two or three to re-engage with those papers before a final prayer. So I'll suggest this. At each table, there's probably 6 or 7 of these stories that we've created. So how about go back to those papers where try to find your original booklet if you don't have it already, and then read the story that has resulted from your original contribution. And then how about just take a moment with a partner beside you, at least, if not with the rest of the table. Just share a couple of funny things or profoundly beautiful things that have resulted from the story that you started. Just have a little bit of conversation for a minute or two, and then we can close in prayer. And if you need to clarify a picture that was drawn, or if you need to clarify a sentence, do that. Lisa, you're the only one who caught on to raise your hand. It's the universal signal to pay attention. Okay, so the suggestion here is let's take like a minute or two. Are there a couple of you who, for whatever reason, the end result just seems worth sharing? Let's just hear from 2 or 3. Anybody?
They opened their doors to all.
That was the whole story. Oh, that was the end of the story. They opened their doors to all. Okay, others? Either the whole thing or just one part of the story.
This one was as current as last week, actually, because we've got a drawing of a bunch of eggs arriving at church with the carton that you read the description of. So it started off with a building and then went to an egg grading station and welcoming people and then eggs arriving at church. So,
Very good. One or two other people? Over here.
Kind of a neat transformation of both mine and Marianne's. Mine went from beginning with a sun shining on a foggy day, and through it was transformed through the pictures into kind of what that sun produces. So it ended up being trees and streams and gardens. So the energy of the sun coming into fruit. And Marianne's, in similar kind of ways, started out with worship and fellowship and eating together. And by the end, the food was more about being together and learning together. So it went from physical food to spiritual food, I think.
Well, maybe we can have some of these or all of these on a table next week and the next couple weeks to study and memorize together. Thank you for participating. Thank you for leading us and for noting all of the progress in the meeting. Let's end with a prayer. Creating God, this is your day. Thank you for the work that we get to do together. Thank you for this world that we get to live in and breathe in and protect. Thank you for this congregation that we get to live in and breathe in and protect. God bless us as we go out of here. Give us animation and creativity and a sense of reassurance. Amen.
Thank you, Matthew.